It's your weekly breakaway for fun conversations on pro cycling and so much more. Join us as we go beyond the slipstream. I'm Matt Harper, and together with my brother Justin, we'll do deep-ish dives on bike races, movies, bands, and all manner of shiny pop cultural objects. Oh, and did I mention bike races? We're kind of obsessed. Allez!
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Slipstream. I'm Justin and this is my brother Matt, and today in our first segment we'll face up to the Mur de Huy and dive into the men's and women's action at Fleche Wallone. In segments 2 and 3, it's the final monument of the spring, Liege-Bastogne-Liege, with men's first and then women's. And as always, we'll finish out with another monumental ride in the Broom Wagon. Allez! Please note, this segment will contain spoilers. If you have not watched the finish of the race and wish to remain unspoiled, please jump ahead to segment 2. The uphill action at the Mur de Huy at Fleche Wallone has been stellar in recent years, and the 2025 edition was no exception on either the men's or the women's sides. The women saw Puck Pieterse of Phoenix de Koninck put the exclamation point on an incredible spring season with a huge win over Demi Vollering. For the men, world champion, Tadej Pogačar took his second title with seeming ease after launching a thermonuclear attack halfway up the Mur from the comfort of his saddle, while poor Ben Healy could only look on in anguish as he struggled up the 19% grade. Though Pog had a far more intense look on his face at the finish than usual, it's understandable given the very full race card he's managed over the spring campaign. Matt, what can Puck hope for at the Tour de France? And can Pog recover from this insane high-output spring in time to cement a fourth Tour de France win over the mysteriously quiet Jonas Vingegaard?
I would say, to the second question, yes, I have every confidence in Tadej Pogačar to get recovered in time for the Tour de France. This man is at a level that very few riders in the history of cycling have ever been at. He is unstoppable. I mean, yeah, so I would say yes on question 2. And as for Puck, what can she hope for the Tour de France? Well, she's already got a Tour de France stage win. This was her second win of her career, and the first one was a stage win, so that's 2 pretty huge wins. So I would say at the minimum, she's looking for another stage win, but I don't know if she is up for a GC role at a Grand Tour. What do you think?
I don't know. She looks very strong. I don't know if that... I don't know that she could beat who she'd have to beat to win a Grand Tour. I mean, you know what
Is
I mean?
a podium at the Tour de France in the cards for Puck Pieterse?
I could see a third, depending on how it went. You know, depending who was competing. But I don't know. I mean, I think that we are all looking at Lotte Kopecky as that outside, you know, that rider come up that, you know, is outside the box to, you know, possibly win a Tour de France. I don't know if she is.
Yeah, I would say she's the dark horse among
Right.
who I would consider the 3 favorites, which would be Vollering, Niewiadoma, and Longo Borghini.
Yeah.
So one of those 3 would have to fall out of there, and Lotte Kopecky would have to not get up there.
Yeah, and
in order for
that's
possibly
assuming that
Puck.
that's assuming that there's not an Anna van der Breggen, you know, there. And,
Exactly.
you know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think the path to a Tour de France GC win for Puck Pieterse would be just, I don't know. It's just, that would be a really, really tough path to victory.
I'll say this. I'm excited to see where she does end up at the end of the tour, come what may, because I definitely see her as someone who could, I mean, she's winning climby races. And that bodes well. I think the Tour de France stage that she won was basically the same as the ending of LBL, which we're going to be watching here in a little bit. So certainly in terms of these climby one day races, she's got the pedigree, but it raises the question of can she sustain that over the entirety of, a 8 or 9 day long stage race. It's going to be fun to find out.
Now, do you think that because I saw your notes, and one of the things that I am curious about is bringing up that AVV Annemiek van Vleuten is one of her coaches, and obviously she is one of the absolute all-time greats in women's cycling. I mean, who else would you want as your corner man than her? I think that's because I really do think that her win this week here had a lot to do with her, because I think that they had a plan, I think they had a very clear plan and executed it exactly the way that they intended, and I think that's why she won. I really truly believe that, because it was such a decisive way that she finished that race. But
Yeah,
who knows?
the Von Vleuten story is kind of illustrative of how important it is to execute a very specific plan. It seems like in this race, there, at least on the women's side, there is a very specific way that this race gets won, and it is to wait until this exact turn and to be on the exact right spot on that turn and to make your move from there. It's what Anna van der Breggen did 8 times in a row or whatever. I mean, they knew exactly where it was going to happen, but only one person can be there at that spot at that time in that race. And you get yourself there on the women's side, it seems, and no one's catching you. And that's exactly what she did. And it's cool to see an Annemiek van Vleuten who never managed to crack that nut in that race, at least there to provide the insight needed for her to take that win. So it was cool. I mean, who doesn't like Puck?
Yeah, no, it was. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad to see her win. You know what I mean? It's she's in the mix a lot, so I'm very happy to see her be able to pull it out. And
Well, yeah,
I
let's
think
not
she's very
forget
deserving.
when the rider from SD Works, Minda Bredewald, won, which she won Amstel last week over Puck Peters. Who was the first person right there giving her a huge hug and saying,
Yeah.
"You just effing won Amstel Gold"? Who was that? It was Pug Petersa. So to see her come back and get her big win in this other pretty monumental race, not quite as I wouldn't put Fleche Wallone up there with Amstel Gold, but it's damn close.
Yeah,
It's awesome that she gets that. Very deserving winner. She had a killer spring campaign where she was very effective in the mix, like you just said, in a bunch of races this spring. So super cool to see her get that. On the other side,
oh, can we? All right, so we can actually talk about the real race, the race for second.
no. We're talking about Fleche.
Oh yeah, that's true. Sorry. Oh yes,
We'll be talking about LBL later.
yes. Sorry.
But once again, it kind of was the race for second in Fleche. I mean, if let's be honest, it was just on a shorter scale, because halfway up the mirror, what happened? Thermonuclear attack. Yeah, I mean, Ben Healy is like out of the saddle and just like giving the deepest effort he's ever given in his life, and Pog is in the saddle and just goes,
Yeah,
meow.
it's just gone. Like he's riding an
See you
electric
later.
bike.
See you later.
The the race for the men it's just absolutely miserable. The whole early part of the race is just completely rain soaked. Just disgusting conditions. Skelmos goes out in in a wreck. Obviously after just winning a couple days previous, which is really sad to see. But it's wild, man. When you see Pogačar at the end of a day like that, where everybody is wrecked from weather and it's cold, it's wet, it's long, it's super hard, and then the fact that when he makes that attack, with Ben Healy following him, it's disgusting. Healy starts that thing just right before he does, and he's out of the saddle. Bam, bam, bam. And Pogacar, when he goes, he never even moves, man. And it's just like he's like, okay, me, and turns on his electric bike motor and just goes right past him. And never really gets out of the saddle until he gets up to the point where the grade gets really, really, high right at the end. And that's the first time he comes out of the saddle the whole way. And by then he's put, a huge gap on Healy. It's crazy to. I mean, it's just the guy is just he's otherworldly. He looks like a superhero.
Yeah, I mean, he did well. Yeah, we'll leave that. I'll make the comment I was about to make after in the LBL section, but yeah, it's just stunning. Kind of lessens the excitement factor a little bit, because you could kind of tell almost immediately that no one was getting back to him. I mean, when he was, still in the saddle and just riding away at twice the speed of everybody else, there's no way.
I mean, and there's no time left. You know what I mean? There's no road left, at that point when he's able to drop them. You know what I mean? It's there's nobody's got a chance to come and do anything. You know what I mean? And it's such a it happens in such a way that it just takes anybody else. I mean, he gets so much distance so quickly that there's no road left for somebody to be able to catch him. Nobody has this. I mean, he's a once in a lifetime engine.
Yep. Well, some of the also rans. I mean, first of all, we had Kevin Vokalon taking second place for the second year in a row. That guy is something special. We've already pipped him for big things this year during Grand Tour season. So nice to see that he's sort of right there at the level where he was at before. Pidcock sliding into third, I thought was cool. I mean, Pidcock beat out Healy. He beat out Evenepoel. He beat out a lot of guys. Last year's winner, Stevie Williams. So I like it. I like that race. A lot of people are like, nah, not that great and whatever. But I mean, to me, how can it not be great? You got this insane climb at the end. Like, it's going to be crazy. And, there was almost a full peloton going into the bottom of that climb. So
yeah. And I think if the weather had been better, I think that it would have made it a little bit more interesting.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, yeah.
Yeah. What more is there to say? We will be right back. Please note, this segment will contain spoilers. If you have not watched the finish of the race and wish to remain unspoiled, please jump ahead to segment 2. To the surprise of absolutely no one ever, Tadej Pogacar launched yet another long-range attack to bury the field and capture yet another title at yet another huge race at the 2025 edition of Liege-Bastogne-Liege. In a spring that has seen him finish on the podium every one of the 7 one-day races he's done, including 3 wins and 2 monuments, he's pulled off a campaign for the ages. And he set the stage for a Tour de France that could rival some of the best editions in the past decade if Jonas Vingegaard arrives in top form, or an edition much like last year where he's clearly heads and shoulders above other competitors and the GC battle is a non-existent yawn fest. Matt, perhaps the biggest surprise of the race was the absence of any kind of threat from 2-time winner and defending champion Remco Evenepoel. How surprised were you?
I was pretty surprised. I well, I didn't necessarily have Remco as the favorite for this race, but I certainly thought he would be a factor. Did he crash or did, I
I don't
thought
know
I
what
heard
happened
someone
at the
say
end.
something about a crash as he was like kind of fading, like shortly after Pog had made his attack, and it became clear that Remco was like
I
not
heard them
into it.
talking about his training wreck, but I didn't hear. I don't know. He
Hmm.
definitely stopped his bike at the end for some reason. Like he was like riding up and then came to a complete stop. So I don't know. He seemed to be in form. I mean, it didn't seem like he was way out of the race, but I mean, once it really kicked up, it just never seemed like he had anything to stay on. And it seemed too, he was like riding the front and really trying to set a high pace to try to pull them back. And I don't know if he just got to the end of his, end
Maybe,
of
yeah,
it.
maybe he
And
just realized he didn't have it. That's a, he came out with this super hot start to his season, where he started late. He beats Wout van Aert in a 2-up sprint at, what was it, Door? And then like, um,
no,
at,
at
what's it
Bronze
called?
Pale.
Oh, yeah, Brabantse Pale. And then he ends up in that 3-up sprint and takes third, but still, he's an animator of Amstel Gold. So you got to think he's in great shape, but neither of those two races are 260 kilometers long. So maybe he just didn't quite have it for a race of that sort of length. Maybe he just need to build a little bit more to have that kind of strength or whatever. So who knows? Um, but kind of no surprise in what did transpire,
No,
unfortunately.
it goes without saying. I mean, we'll just, say this and then we'll talk about the real race, the race for second. Um, Look, Pogacar is a generational talent. Christian Van de Velde on the broadcast, was relating him to, sports greats like, Michael Jordan and, Tiger Woods and Wayne Gretzky. And, it's like, these are this is what you're watching. You know what I mean? You can, you can be like, oh, it's so boring, or you can take the enjoyment of saying that, years from now, when his career is over and you're watching a future cycling race, or you'll be able to be like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember this thing. You remember when Pogacar did this? Do you remember when Pogacar, did this crazy thing? Or, and you'll be like, yep, I remember watching that live. And, so you're witnessing history. You know what I mean? It is sports history, and it's he's going to break some long-standing records and be considered the greatest of all time, most likely. And just like watching Tom Brady's career, you're getting to see it. It's like maybe he's not your guy, and maybe it does make the racing a little bit more boring, but you know, it is neat to be able to watch history.
Well, on that topic, then let me ask you. I believe this is monument number 9 for him. Eddie Merckx is the most ever at 19. So he's just under halfway to Merckx's record. He is 26 years old, 27, 26 probably. Um, you think he gets there? I mean, he could be at 10 by the end of this season, and there's no way he's not the favorite for Il Lombardia, correct? At this
So,
point.
I mean, if he's knocking off 3 a year, 4 years from now, he's catching him. So, you know, it's entirely possible. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of nuts to think that if he goes for Tour of Flanders and LBL and Il Lombardia each of the next years and doesn't end up picking up a Paris Roubaix or
Yeah, there's no way he's not one of the top 2 favorites in those 3 races for the next 3 years. There's no possible way,
well, and
barring injury.
you know that he's going to target these other two. He wants them. He wants
Oh
to
yeah,
have them all. So like,
yeah.
and at some point he's not going to be going up against Matthew Van Der Poel, in one of these races, and he could take it because there's no doubt that he has really really good years in front of him, and all it's going to take one of those years for him to pick up one of those races is for Van Der Poel to get sick or have a wreck or whatever it is, that he's not there and he takes that race. So, I would say barring some insane thing, in the next 4 years, we're talking about him catching that record.
Well, let's take Milan Sanremo for a second. Who, he's gone to that race, 4 times or something? He's thrown everything at it, every sort of combination of launches on those last 2 climbs, the Cipressa and the Poggio, to no success. Success being first place, winning the race. He's on the by far strongest team in the world. Okay, so would you logically say that some assembly of riders from Team UAE Emirates would be the best team time trialing team in the world? Is there another squad?
I mean, all right. So João Almeida is a strong time trialist. Ben McNulty is the current
Super strong
U.S. time trial champion, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yates. I feel like Yates is pretty strong.
Yeah,
in a time trial.
What about Del Toro?
Del Toro. Well, here's my point. Let me make my point. So who's to say they don't just completely go make a giant left turn out of the playbook and bring the strongest TTT team they can to MSR and push that team off the front of the race in an effort to launch Pog from 180 kilometers.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to think, but it's gonna. But see, that's what I'm saying is if you take a Matthew Van Der Poel out, and it's like, okay, let's just take this past year. Take Matthew Van Der Poel out of the equation, okay, and it's now down to Pog and Filippo Ganna. All right. Do you really see Filippo Ganna beating him in that scenario?
No. But also, though, I guess a Remco could be in there. I mean, he's a strong TT.
But let's just, you take, I think at this point, and you go back to Paris-Roubaix. All right. Take away Matthew Van Der Poel. All right. He absolutely has a better chance to win. You're talking about these 2 races that these 2 generational talents keep going up against in this one scenario. All right, or 2 scenarios, I guess you could say. Van Der Poel has an edge on Pogačar in these types of races. But if you take that other once in a generational talent out of the equation, he could absolutely win. So, you get a life event, that takes, or even a racing event that takes Matthew Van Der Poel out of the equation in one of those races, his chance of winning goes up, an insane amount. Because, he's beating Filippo Ganna in that scenario. There's no fucking chance.
Let's say Van Der Poel is there. Is there a path to success in MSR for Pogačar by somehow raising the speed of his attack on a low incline climb like the Poggio? Is there a way where he can attack on he can raise his level so that he can somehow separate from Van Der Poel?
On the fitness side of it, that's the other way that you go, is that you aim your fitness to be that way. I would figure that if they forego, if they were going to be we're not going to race a Grand Tour this year, which obviously is never going to fucking happen. But if we're going to talk about crazy scenarios, let's just say he's yeah, I'm done. I'm putting all my focus into winning, these 2 monuments. I got to have these on my Palmares. And so I'm going to, this year I'm putting everything into that. and he changes his fitness routine, and he changes, different things to make his, physiology, a little bit more, in line with Matthew Vanderpool's, and then attacks it with, a little bit of a difference in like the crazy engine that he has. I mean, yeah, I think he could absolutely, win that way. You know what I mean? Like there's, with the nutrition side of things, like that's the science of racing right now, that, they could unlock one of these puzzles through that, through that avenue. But
And
again, I don't even think that's necessary. I'm telling you, if it's not the two of them, he's going to win one of those races.
well, I think his path to success in Roubaix is perhaps even simpler, which is don't crash,
Yeah.
don't fuck up. I mean, because that's in a way. I mean, forget about fitness, but Vanderpool's big edge in that race, honestly, has been his ability to avoid any kind of situation. I mean, he got a flat tire this year, but it was while he already had a minute's lead. You know what I mean? That guy is really, really good at managing that race. And Pogacar's been there now. He knows what's up. And if he is tooling his entire season to peak at that race very specifically, which I don't know he was. I mean, MSR is first. If he says one year, you know what, I'm not putting the emphasis on MSR. I'm going to put everything towards being an absolute peak of my fitness at Paris-Roubaix. And then I'm going to make certain, come hell or high water, that I don't screw up around one of these corners. Maybe that's his path to success.
Well, I mean, and that's the great leveler, is anything can happen in that race. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's but again, it's I don't know. I just don't know that you don't. I don't know. It would have been a different scenario with no Matthew Vanderpool. So
that's for sure.
So anyway,
for sure.
Do you have anything more on this?
No. All hail Tadej Pogacar.
All hail the king. We'll be right back.
Don't miss the Team Bus, our weekly companion podcast to the main Beyond the Slipstream show. Our domestique, if you will, dropping every Wednesday in your usual podcast feed.
Please note, this segment will contain spoilers. If you have not watched the finish of the race and wish to remain unspoiled, please jump ahead to segment 2. Last year's edition of the women's Liege-Bastogne-Liege, the final monument of the spring season, saw a huge career-defining win for Grace Brown of FDJ Suez in the final season of her illustrious career. The win was made even more exciting by a crazy happenstance in the run into the finish, where one of the riders in the small breakaway group that Brown found herself in overshot the curve of a roundabout and flew into the grass beside. Brown followed her and had to handle a very tall grassy bump before bounding back onto the road surface and gearing up for a hard pull to get back in contact with the group, ultimately besting Elisa Longoborghini in the sprint to the line. Matt, this year's race served up a pretty career-defining win as well, with Kim Lacourt of the island nation of Mauritius taking the win in a 4-up sprint with Puck Pieterse, Demi Vollering, and Cedrine Cabral. Like Pieterse and Fleche Wallone, Lacourt had an incredible spring campaign with every kind of success and capped it off with a huge win in a huge race. Matt, how about that Mauritian national champions jersey?
That jersey. Yeah, how about it, man? This woman. First of all, shout out to Lantern Rouge podcast. Patrick on Lantern Rouge, I believe his pick was Kim Lacourt. And yeah, she has just been omnipresent throughout the entire spring. Nobody's even heard of Mauritius, and now this woman is in there. I mean, I remember first taking note of her because of that jersey. It's like you look at it, if you don't know what you're looking at and you glance that jersey, you are going to think it's the world champions jersey. It's exactly the same, except it's missing like one stripe. So it's got 4 stripes instead of 5, but I believe all 4 of those colors are the same colors. So, so you see that and then you're like, what's up? Wait, I did a lot of Kopeckis not in this, right? And then, okay. And you find out, and so then I start diving into, Mauritius, and Mauritius is this like tiny island nation, like off the coast of Africa near Madagascar. I'm sure it was like colonized by the French or somebody back in the day. And, she's part of the vestiges of, the white folks that were on this African island from back in the day. But, nonetheless, she's the national champion. She's the only Mauritian rider I've even heard of. And she's out there just crushing it this year. She hadn't gotten that big win yet, but she's been there or thereabouts, animating races and stuff. And boom, she completes the spring with arguably the biggest you could have hoped for.
Yeah, it was a really much more fun ending to a race than the men's race. This was I don't know, man. I thought Puck was going to pull it out, man. I really thought she was positioning herself well in the end and was going to make it, 2 victories in the same week. So I am slightly disappointed. I also think it's funny, considering our conversation earlier about Fleche Wallone. She was absolutely hanging in with the best riders in the world. So you know what, Tour de France, possibilities for her are pretty high. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. I loved how the win with Kim, obviously she rides for AG Insurance, and AG is the big sponsor, and so you get this like great like PR moment for them, and I thought it was just a really fun ending, just way more interesting than the men's side.
Oh yeah, there's some PR people in that insurance company that are just loving life. I want to talk a little bit about Peters. I mean, she has, like we just had this incredible spring where she capped it off with a huge win at Fleche Wallone. She very purposely sat out of Paris-Roubaix and Flanders, I believe, because she knew that the Dutch classics were much more suited to her abilities, and a perfect call amongst a couple of races that she executed perfectly. I mean, I think she was off the podium in Amstel. Yeah, if memory serves right.
I believe you're correct.
But wins Fleche, comes second in LBL. She's super young, makes this huge debut last season, wins a Tour de France stage, and I mean, she is riding like a seasoned veteran. You know what I mean? She is just in the mix, knows where to put herself, and she's strong. She's got a great attitude. She's happy to be out there racing. So I can't say enough good things about little Puck.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. She's awesome. I thought it was really nice at the end, seeing Erska Ziegert give her the hug at the end, and it's like you made the comment while we were watching the race that what a great day for her. Her teammate wins and her boyfriend win the same race, same day.
Absolutely. Incredible. And of course, her boyfriend wins in the world champions jersey. So when we get the side by side shots of the two finishers in these two races, men's and women's, it's going to look almost identical because LaCourte's in the Mauritian national champions jersey. Let's talk about the poor rider on the podium in third place, Demi Vollering, who has had just a spring campaign to forget. I feel for the woman because, she's so great. She's got a wonderful attitude and really got screwed over in the Tour de France last year, as we've discussed many times on this podcast. And after 2 years ago, sweeping the Ardennes Classics with, wins in Amstel, Fleche, and LBL, she cannot come away with even a single win in either of these three. So she can't be happy about that. And you really gotta feel for her.
Do you think that it has a lot to do with the changing of the team? Do you think it's a chemistry thing, or do you think that she's just, missing her spots?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, looking at her 2025, She started pretty strong back in February at the Ciclista Volta Femenina de la Comunitat Valenciana, Tour of Valenciana, with a GC win. Since then, third in Omloop, she wins Strade Bianche, and then 11th in Alfredo Binda, fourth in Milan San Remo, 20th in Amstel Gold, second in Fleche Wallone, third in Liege-Bastogne-Liege. Pretty disappointing, I feel for her.
So hot start and cold finish.
She's more of a Grand Tour rider. I don't know. Hard to say. Is she more of a Grand Tour rider? I mean, you know, she pulled off the triple 2 years ago in the Ardennes. So that says no. But at the same time, you know, she's won the Tour de France. She's come second in the Tour de France a couple of times. That's the biggest prize of them all. Certainly that's got to be the number one goal on her calendar this year. So who knows? Maybe all of this is just kind of setting it up for her to be even hungrier going into the Tour de France, and she really comes through and mangles it there.
It's very possible. It's very possible. And, you know, obviously that it suits her even more there too. So I don't know. Just an infinitely more interesting race than the men's race.
There's a lot of question marks for every single other rider going into the Tour de France besides Demi Vollering. There's no question mark with Demi Vollering. She can win that race, hands down. There's no question about it. But then you look at anybody else. Take Kim LaCour. You know, she's looking strong. Had a strong year. Could she possibly do it? Who knows? Puck Pietershoek. Could we just discuss that earlier? Could she do it? Who knows? Anna van der Breggen. Could she do it? Who knows? Longa Borghini, I'd say she's capable. I'd say Newa Doma has proven
I
she's
think
capable.
out of anybody right now, I think if you have to put her, I'm putting her on, behind Demi. I would say that she is the number one contender for that crown right now, and I would definitely put her ahead of Cassie and Doma or Nia Doma.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly say I will not be upset if Demi Vollering wins the Tour de France this year because she deserves it. She deserved it last year. She absolutely should not have lost last year. You know, as glad as I was to see Cassia take a win in the Tour de France, Demi got screwed over, and those 4 seconds are definitely found on that fifth stage. If her team was helping her, so. But it does bode well for a pretty exciting tour, I would say.
Where do you think Kopecky falls in all of this?
I don't know. I feel like she's kind of had a Midland spring campaign as well, even though she was instrumental in some wins for her teammate Lorena Vibas, and even though she did win Paris-Roubaix. So, there is that. I mean, that any spring campaign where you win a monument, cannot be considered, a failure by any means. But she definitely did not seem as dominant as she did this time last year. So,
I mean, she still ended up, sprinting for the.
By the way, I said she won Paris-Roubaix. She won Flanders, not Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's interesting. It was tell me we didn't mention that they had said that she was the first female rider from the continent of Africa.
Yes, she was not the first African
to win a monument across the
technically
board.
I think she would be considered an African. If she was born there. Yeah, you got to hand it to her. Like I'm excited to continue seeing what she's got. I love it. I mean, between her, we haven't mentioned Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who did win Paris-Roubaix, who wasn't much of a factor in this race, but that's another one who is a big question mark in the Tour de France. We have no idea, but there's so many things that could happen if the seeming stranglehold of Vollering and Longa Borghini can be broken. Anything can happen.
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
It bodes well. It should be an exciting tour. But hats off to Kim LaCour. That was pretty awesome.
Yep. We are ready to end our spring campaign and start into Grand Tour season now. So On that note, we'll be right back for another monumental ride in the Broom Wagon. Welcome back for another ride in the Broom Wagon. Matt, what do you got?
All right, I told you I had a surprise for you in this thing. So I'll let you choose at the end of the thing if you want to even air this or not, because I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything. But this is going to be funny. Anyways, I need to preview it with a little anecdote. So a few years back, it was like Thanksgiving or something, and you and your family were visiting here in the DC area, and it was actually it was probably Christmas, but like 3, 4, or 5 years ago, something like that. And we're hanging out and we get talking Lord of the Rings, and I'm asking some question about some piece of lore, the Lord of the Rings, and I feel like Mandy gave an answer or something like that, and then you were like, "Well, actually, it was blah blah blah," and you start talking about it, and so I started asking you more questions, and in short order, I realized that like your level of Lord of the Rings knowledge is on a level that is kind of mind-boggling, like mind-boggling. You started talking about stuff in some of these obscure books, and you were breaking down things that I was like, you sound like you're a master's degree scholar of Tolkien here. Like my mind was blown. Right. So I had that all in my head when the other day Mandy shares with me an Instagram reel, and it is a clip from some like English game show, quiz game show, and there's this woman sitting on there, and the host says to her, "All right, what's your name? And what do you do?" And she's like, "I'm blah blah blah, and I'm a nurse at whatever." She gives her name and occupation, and he goes, "And what is your particular area of interest?" And she's like, "J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings." He's like, "All right, we've prepared some questions for you," and she proceeds to go 11 of 12 on these crazy questions that this guy is answering about Lord of the Rings stuff. So I have painstakingly gone through and written down every one of these questions, and I want to see how you do. Are you ready?
All right.
I'm putting you on the spot here. I got a feeling you might do all right.
All right.
So let's see how it goes. All right. And I'll let you choose. We get to the end of this and you embarrass yourself, we won't run it, and I'll do a different Broom Wagon. All right.
All right. No, we'll run it no matter what.
But this could be fun. This could be fun.
All right.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. Question number 1. In the opening of Lord of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins throws a joint birthday party for himself and his adopted heir, Frodo. Bilbo is turning 11. How old is Frodo turning?
39.
Oh, so close. 33.
I knew it was in his 30s. I can't remember what.
This is going to be fun. All right. When Farmer Maggot takes Frodo and his friends to Buckleberry Ferry, they mistake which hobbit for one of the sinister Black Riders? Remember, you got to go books for these. This is from the books. This is not from the movies.
So it's got to be. Are they all? God, are they all together at that point? I feel like it's one of the two of. It's got to be either Merry or Pippin. I feel. Am I right? It's got I've narrowed it down to.
I'll help you out. I'm not helping you. I want you to do well in this thing.
All right. Hold on. No, I want to pick one. I want to say it's Merry Attic Brandybuck.
Bam. All right. You're. I'm gonna highlight the ones you get right.
All right.
All right. Third question. What name does Éowyn assume when she disguises herself as a man in order to ride into battle with the Rohirrim?
Pass. I have no idea.
Dernhelm.
Yeah. No way. No way.
You'll definitely get this.
Damn. Dernhelm. Yeah. I mean.
Dernhelm. All right. Here we go. What's the name of the elvish waybread given to Frodo and his companions before leaving Lothlorien, which the elves tell them is, quote, more strengthening than any food made by men?
Oh, it's Lembas.
Yeah, I got that one as well. All right, good. All right, number 5. Mount Doom, the scene of the forging and destruction of the ruling ring, was originally given what name, meaning mountain of blazing fire, by the elves? These name ones are going to be the toughies for you, I think.
It's something like that ends in like a rudrum or something like that.
I'm giving you credit for that one. It's Orodruin. You get credit for that one. Orodruin. You said, what'd you say? Orudrum? Close enough.
Yeah.
For our purposes here, you fucking nailed that one. All right. All right. Number 6. Which warrior is the leader of a group of orcs called the Fighting Uruk-hai, who sees Merry and Pippin in order to take them to Saruman?
Yeah, you're right. These name ones will be really hard because I can think of so many.
They're pretty much all name ones for the rest from here on out.
Is it Ugluk?
Bam! I knew you were going to slay this thing, man.
Oh,
I knew it.
Was it really? Was I right?
Yes, Ugluk.
Wow.
Impressive. All right.
Okay.
Here we go. Question number 7. Pirates from which region of Middle Earth joined Sauron's forces in a fleet of ships, quote, with many oars and with black sails bellying in the breeze?
They're corsairs, right?
What is the region?
They don't come from the corsair.
No, a corsair is like a type of fighter.
Hold on. I mean, they would have come from the Southlands.
I'll give you a little tiny hint. It's similar to your last answer.
It's similar to the Southlands answer?
No, it's similar to the last answer about the warrior leader of the orcs. The name is similar.
I can picture it, but I can't.
The region is called Umbar.
Oh, the
All
Corsairs of Umbar. Yes, this is correct. That is correct.
Number 8. Treebeard and his fellow Ents invade the evil Saruman's fortress in Isengard, along with which other race, described as, quote, Ents that have become almost like trees?
It's the army of trees that they send to attack the orcs. Part of them go to Helm's Deep to help Gandalf, but I can't remember what they call that.
It starts with an H.
It starts with an H. Dude, I have no clue.
All right, they're called Huorns.
Yeah,
Huorns.
Would have. I mean, would have recognized it maybe out of a what do you call it, multiple choice, but no, that's a fucking deep cut.
At this point, the contestant on the show was 8 for 8.
Oh my God.
Number 9, a mysterious figure called Tom Bombadil rescues Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin from the clutches of a malevolent weeping willow on the banks of what river?
I mean, it's got to be the Brandywine River. No? Oh, bummer.
It's got a very whimsical name. And whimsical is a hint in more ways than one.
I don't know. I really
don't. It's the Withy Windle.
Oh yeah.
All right. What was the name of the great?
Maybe if I'd read the book in the last decade, I might remember some of these.
Yeah, this is pretty. Trust me, you've already kind of blown my mind with some of them. I knew these were really tough. All right, let's roll through these last 3. What was the name of the great beech forest in which Beren first saw the elven princess Luthien singing and dancing in a glade beside the enchanted river Esgalduin, initiating a love match between a mortal man and an elf? This is the one that the contestant got wrong. You want me to tell you what the contestant said that was wrong?
Sure.
All right, she said Undomiel. So it's the name of the beech forest. Starts with an N.
Like Nesgaroth.
Pretty close enough that I'll give you credit on that one too. Neldareth. You got the right syllables. You got the ending sound. The Neldareth. You can have half credit on that one.
That's a fucking hard question. Like,
All right.
I'm thinking of
Number 11.
I'm like literally thinking of map knowledge at that point. Like, I'm thinking of like the map of like Beleriand.
Okay, I think you might get this one.
Okay.
And we'll see about the last one. All right. In which part of the river Anduin did Smeagol, later called Gollum, strangle his friend Daegal for the ring that he'd found while they were fishing? In which part of the river Anduin? It's 2 words.
The part of the river that it had a name where he strangled Deagle.
Yeah, I think of it more as like a part of a map, like that the river might be running through.
Well, they were stores, so does it have something to do with the stores?
Stores?
Yeah, that's the type of hobbit they were, or like the type of people.
No, it's like a 2-word title.
Oh, all right. And
It sounds like the name. It sounds like the name of a battle. Like you could see the battle of this 2-word title.
I don't know, man. These are tough.
It is Gladden Fields.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
All right, number 12. Celeborn and Galadriel.
You know, because it's the same place that Isildur loses the ring. It's and that's where he finds it. So yeah, I should have gone.
Oh,
back
you could have. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You could have thought through that.
Because it was the disaster at the Gladden Fields is when Isildur loses the ring.
Like, how did it end up there? Yeah.
Fuck, I should have traced. That was amateur hour. Fuck.
All right, and this is another one where you're not gonna either know this one or you don't. We'll see. Celeborn and Galadriel, the Lord and Lady of Lothlorien, lived in what species of tree with silver gray bark and golden yellow blossoms?
They were Malorn trees.
The Malorn, nice. He pulls out the last one. All right, impressive. Let's total. Let's see what your total is here. Hold on.
That's super tough.
So with a half credit for Neldoreth, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 out of 12. Pretty good, and you almost got that 33. You were in the 30s. You could have a half credit for that one. So thank you for being a good sport. I thought of you as soon as I saw that clip. I thought that would be funny. That'd be fun to do. All right, what do you got for us?
So the other day I can't remember what I was doing, but I was doing something in my room, and I just wanted to put like something on in the background or whatever, or maybe no. You know what it was? I was getting ready to go to bed. That's what it was, and. You know, these smart TVs now have the they tile out like things that you can watch on them. You know what I mean? Like when you turn them on, it's like the home screens or whatever. And I saw a movie that I was looking at it and I was going like, oh, that's weird. Like it seems like it has a different name, and I thought I was having like one of those Mandela effect things, or Mandela effect things, and. What it is the movie's called The 51st State, and that's what it was internationally. All right. In the United States, though, it was called Formula 51 because they like changed the name because they thought like in the States that it wouldn't play well because it said 51st State. You know what I mean? And they thought that would, so they changed the name in the U.S. And this is a movie from the early 2000s with Samuel L. Jackson. Hold on, let me pull up my notes here real quick and go over this cast real quick. So Sam Jackson is the lead. He plays a chemist who gets arrested right the day that he graduates, like the beginning of the movies, he gets arrested for a drug charge and it like ruins his life. And so he ends up being a drug chemist, like for, bad guys for the next 30 years of his life. And so it starts there, but it's this kind of crazy journey where he double crosses his boss and goes to England to like try to make this major drug deal. And it is this wild, zany, like kind of, English movie where, you get that like early 2000s, but it's got Robert Carlyle, Emily Mortimer, Ricky Tomlinson, Rhys Ifans. Meatloaf is the antagonist who he, messes with in the beginning and runs all the way through it. And then another great big character actor, Sean Pertwee. So, but this movie is like zany. It doesn't get good ratings. You know what I mean? Nobody says anything good about it, like when you look it up. But dude, I'm telling you, this movie is fun. If you like Robert Carlyle, especially because he is like,
how can you not like Robert Carlyle?
Well, and it's Sam Jackson and Robert Carlyle like playing very like opposite of each other, like, and very it's all very back and forth and hostile the whole time, dude. It's hysterical, and it's like it's also like an action movie. It's got some great quotable lines, but if you've never seen Formula 51, or you'll probably find it more likely under the 51st State, go watch it. It's so much fun. If you like any of the people I mentioned, you will like this movie, period.
Absolutely.
So, all right. And that's all for this week. Join us next week for full recaps of the Tour of Romandy and the Eschborn-Frankfurt one-day race. We'll also take a deep dive into the resurgence of 7-Eleven on the pro cycling scene and what the team's history is all about. Until then, for my brother Matt, I'm Justin Harper. Thanks for listening. We hope you'll join us on another ride beyond the slipstream. Allez!
Beyond the Slipstream is a production of Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe, smash that button, leave a 5-star review, and most importantly, tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Allez!